Morning, friends. Today we're out in right off the Nicolay National Forest, and I had a big tree go over, and I decided that it's time that I go ahead and put a driveway in on my property. I want to start getting it ready to put a cabin in, and I rented a little mini excavator. It's going to be an experience seeing if I can push over some of these trees and at least get a pathway, if not a driveway, put in so that we can get some heavy equipment in there and start working on maybe getting a cabin set up. So I'll show you what we got to work with here, and then we'll start the project. Here you can see this is all mature forest. Most of these trees here are maple. There's a couple other trees that are mixed in, but for the most part this is a maple hardwoods. There's my truck, and right behind it you can see where that tree came down. I already took an excavator, pulled the roots out for it. I got that other tree there that's going off on a goofy angle. That's going to definitely have to come down. That's going to be a future hazard. So we'll head back into the woods and fire up the excavator and have some fun. Okay, here's what we got for an excavator. It's a little Bobcat E32. You can see it's got grapple on the bucket. We're going to use that to help pick up some trees and toss them around. And it's not much for the size of some of these trees, but we're going to be real gentle on it. You can kind of see some of the bigger stuff. Obviously, we're going to have to take it real easy, but we got a pretty good arrangement of trees that are going on here right now, so it'll be interesting. The smaller ones, I'm not so worried about those. We can get out pretty easy, but some of the bigger ones might be a little bit of a challenge. So let's go ahead and see what we can do. You can already see over here I got just a little bit of the leaves are roughed up from me weaseling between some of the trees to get back here, but soon enough we'll get some of these ripped out and get it flattened out to the point where we can at least get a vehicle in here. Alright, this next tree that I selected to push over here was quite a challenge. If you notice when you look at the base of the tree, I already dug 2/3 of the way around the tree, leaving the back side of the tree with the roots unexcavated. And you do that so the tree doesn't fall back over on top of you. This tree was a huge challenge because the ground was extremely hard packed around it, and really dry, and the roots were all intertwined with rocks and hard packed clay that was underneath there. And then secondly, when you look at the top of the tree as I'm trying to shove this thing over, it's such a tall tree that it's stuck in the canopy, and I got several other trees that just won't let go of it. Here again, watch the bucket of the excavator pounding away at that root base. The earth was so hard packed around that root base, it was just a challenge to get everything loose. And obviously you need to get as much of that off so that you can transport that root ball out of the area and dispose of it in a better place. And one thing you'll notice later on when you see the excavator loading up the root base, you'll notice I did a lot of editing here. I didn't bother wasting time showing you guys how I was cutting up the trees after we knocked them over. But I figured it was much more important just to show you the process of actually pushing them over and getting rid of them. Here's a little bit different angle of that same stump. You notice I already went ahead and cut the rest of the tree off it and kind of struggling getting it back out of that original hole that the tree was growing in. After I cut the rest of the tree off, it fell right back in. But a little bit of persistence finally pays off. Now, if you notice what I just did there, I went and I crept that blade underneath that root ball, and then reached over with the bucket, and I pulled the stump up on top of that blade, and then at the same time I tried to raise the blade and also raise the bucket as well, so that way it'd give it a little bit of height to transport it to the little cliff where I'm dumping these root balls off of.
Sophie doesn't need a machine. She just uses her hands to pull trees out. She just pulled this tree out of the ground.
Okay, here we are back at the land. I got everything all done as far as excavating goes for now. Got the trees knocked down and the land is somewhat leveled out. I may have to come in here with a bulldozer. We're going to give this some time to let some of the vegetation grow back in, and we'll see how things look. I'll take you a walk in right now, and show you what we did. And yeah, it's pretty impressive for a guy who's never operated any heavy equipment before, really, to speak of, to think that you can go rent a backhoe for a couple $100 a day and be able to come in here and do it yourself is impressive. Originally, I got a couple different estimates. The average estimate was around $8,000 to put this drive in, and with a little bit of ingenuity and a little bit of effort put forward, I got this total driveway put in for right around 900 bucks. So pretty happy with that. Saved myself a ton of money, and just wanted to pass this on to other people so that they could kind of evaluate whether or not, you know, if you're tight on the budget and you're tight on a little bit of funds or whatever, you know, there are alternatives to where you can do things yourself and save yourself a little bit of money. So I'm going to shut up and we'll take you for a walk and show you what it looks like. Okay, here we're coming in. This was all mature maple in here, kind of speckled in with some younger growth, and this hill is what causes the trouble. You really can't pick it up in the video, but there's a real slight grade here, and this is what all the guys that gave us estimates were a little concerned about. You can see on the side we kind of whittled away at the edge of the driveway here, but we're going to let time take its toll and see if that smooths out. Otherwise we'll bring in hand tools and see if we can't help that out. And here's going to be the building site right in here where we have this all kind of cleared out. Right now I have all this green stuff stacked here. I'm going to bring in a chipper and we're going to shred that all up. And then as we walk down over to the end of the site here, you can kind of see here's where I stacked some of the lumber that we had. And unfortunately it's kind of hard to get people to buy this unless they have their own mill. Some of it's twisted, and inside of some of the rocks, some of the logs are hollowed out and a little rotten, so it'd be kind of hard to sell this for any grade of lumber. However, it makes excellent firewood. We'll go ahead and we'll split it and put my boys to work, give them something to do, and Here's the rest of the site. We have a few trees that we left for shade. We may end up taking those out, but back in the distance there, in that valley right there, you can kind of see there's a logging road that parallels that, and I cleared out just enough trees to where I can get a truck back in there for when we're deer hunting or bear hunting, and we can access that part of the land. My land still goes back quite a ways, and then it's all Nicolet National Forest after that. And so we're kind of excited to do this. Here's a couple of rocks that I picked up with the excavator for my wife and daughter. They were talking about maybe doing something, making some sort of fire pit, and so we picked up a couple of them. Obviously that one there is a little bit too big to do a whole lot with, but we'll figure something out. And then here's the opposite view, looking up the new driveway that we put in. Everything's cleared out. You can see some of the trees, like this leaning one right here. That one I probably should have took down. But here again, we want to kind of keep this hidden back in here. We don't want a lot of the local people to know what's going on back here. We enjoy our privacy. Here again, here's all that green leaves. That here is all going to be either mulched up, or I'm undecided. Maybe we'll burn it in the fall. It'd be kind of neat to come in the winter after hunting and get a good bonfire going back here. Something just to enjoy the outdoors with. So that's pretty much going to be it in a nutshell. We'll walk you out of the drive here to give you an idea what we all did. I kind of graded, you can kind of see in this, it's kind of pitched that way. I graded it a little bit to have water runoff. Obviously, you can tell by my way that I was operating the equipment, I'm no professional, but for a guy working on a budget, it works out pretty darn good. And there's the old truck and boat parked out at the dead end. So, all right, if you like these videos, please click like and subscribe, and we'll try to shoot you some more. Thank you. Have a good day.